Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live 10 at 10.
There's a lot of things that are prescribed that carry a very significant risk. And one of those risks can be fatal.
Trouble breathing, slow speech, sudden loss of consciousness, or tightness in the chest, all possible side effects from prescription drugs. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight.
According to a recent study, people don't bother to check what side effects could be caused by the drugs they're taking. Valley News Team's crime and safety reporter, Nicole Johnson, spoke with a local doctor who says most people are prescribed too many drugs in the first place.
Those little words on the side of the bottle, we know they're there, but oftentimes we think that side effect won't ever happen to me.
That's how we think, but the reality is that the third leading cause of death in the United States right now is iatrogenic, meaning doctor-caused. That's alarming, and it's something we have to take very seriously.
Naturopathic Dr. Todd Ferguson says most doctors are trying to do the right thing when they give you drugs, but it's not always the right thing.
We still have to look at the hard reality that there's a lot of things that are prescribed that carry a very significant risk, and one of those risks can be fatal.
Dr. Ferguson says society as a whole is looking for a quick fix. People end up taking expensive drugs forever, drugs they don't actually need, or end up taking another drug to counteract the side effects of the original one.
What we've been told is this is how medicine works. You go in, you get a prescription for a medication, and if needed, if that doesn't work, you have surgery.
Patients are looking more closely at the data behind their medications, asking better questions of their physicians. What do I need to be aware of?
Sanford pharmacist Nathan Liedall says if anything good has come out of the opioid crisis sweeping the nation, is that people are paying more attention to possible harm of drugs they're taking.
No question is a bad question, and whenever in doubt, it's good peace of mind just to know what should I be concerned about and what isn't a big deal, and I think it's always better to ask in those situations.
Dr. Ferguson says there is a time and a place for prescription drugs, and they can do good, but at their clinic, they focus on the root cause and alternatives to medication.
The question is, how necessary is that? And that's a great conversation to have with your doctor.
And he adds, those little words on the side of the bottle are a bigger deal than they appear. Nicole Johnson, Valley News Live.
The pharmacist we spoke to says if you're taking more than one drug, you should be keeping a list to show at the pharmacy because mixing medications can be very dangerous, even if they are just over-the-counter drugs.
A car crashed into a Valley City school bus today. Besides the bus driver, there were several students on the bus at the time. However, no one was injured. It happened at the intersection of 2nd Street and 3rd Avenue Northeast shortly after 8 o'clock this morning. The driver of the car wasn't hurt as well.
Ward County Sheriff's deputies arrested a man today who they say struck a 2-year-old boy with his car while he was under the influence of alcohol. They say a 29-year-old Cody Possig of Minot was backing out of a residence in the 3500 block of 4th Street Northwest when he struck the child. Paramedics rushed the boy to a hospital. There's no word yet on his condition. Deputies arrested Possig at the ER and charged him with DUI. He remains in custody in the Ward County Jail pending his initial appearance.
In Moorhead, police say Sunday's burglary at 3409 15th Street South was not a random act. No arrests have been made yet. Authorities say a neighbor saw 4 black males force their way into the home.
Valley News Team's Giovanna Simic spoke to a family that lives nearby and asks them if they feel safe in their neighborhood despite the recent criminal activity.
When I heard about it, I thought it was very close to where we live, and I'm a little bit concerned about that.
Mike and Diana Renner live a couple of houses down from where the burglary happened Sunday afternoon. They say they never expected this to happen in their neighborhood.
So far around this area where I live, it's quiet, and the neighbors seems good.
We respond to burglaries throughout the year. There isn't any one specific time of the year or specific month.
While they couldn't give an exact number of burglaries for this year, Moorhead police say burglaries have increased by about 55% in 2016.
Sometimes things are pretty hectic, sometimes they're pretty fluid, and we'll just respond to it as we have to.
Wherever you live, and if the community is growing bigger all the time, of course there's going to be probably more crime.
With an officer shortage, Moorhead police say they have officers working longer shifts to make the city safe.
We still provide the same quality service to the citizens, and we'll continue to do that.
And if they need help, they're not afraid to ask.
It ties up a lot of our resources. We use other outside agencies for resources if we can.
Police is pretty good. They come around here every once in a while, so they do a good job, so I think we still feel a little bit protected.
In Moorhead, Giovanna Simic, Valley News Live.
Moorhead police say the case is still open and they're speaking with the suspects and victims to see if an arrest will be made.
Dakota Access Pipeline protesters are now calling for the resignation of Morton County Sheriff Kyle Kirchmeier. They say the tactics used by law enforcement during a showdown at the Backwater Bridge south of Mandan last night were excessive. Protesters tried to remove a barricade of cars on the bridge. Water hoses were used to put out fires started by the protesters. Those same hoses were used for crowd control. Sheriff Kirchmeier says law enforcement can use whatever force it deems necessary when an officer's safety is in question. Meanwhile, 16 protesters were arrested today outside the law enforcement center in Mandan after blocking the entrance.
Meanwhile, some protesters have started to target the media, including Valley News Live. A campaign was started to target media organizations by protesters who feel media are being biased toward them using social media. A list is going around telling people to call different North Dakota agencies, along with media outlets. Valley News Live received more than 24 calls today. Our sister station in Bismarck even had about 50 protesters outside the station. They were reportedly chanting, and one person was later arrested.
North Dakota National Guard soldiers are being called in to help with crowd control. A music teacher from West Fargo, Cheyenne, James Landman, is among those called to duty. We talked to some of his students today, catching up with them at the Fill the Dome event. They say they're worried for their teacher's safety, adding he's been a major influence for them both in and out of the classroom. And the students are somewhat frustrated, too, that their teacher has to leave in the middle of the school year.
That's why they're getting sent in, not because they're being peaceful. And it's just, you know, if it was just North Dakota protesters, none of this would have happened. Like, it would only be like the local police or anything like that. But now we have to send the National Guard in to help. So it's a little frustrating, yeah.
One of the students we talked to today said that James Landman was the reason he joined the military.
The Grand Forks Airport Authority has landed a nearly $3 million settlement after FedEx recently moved its air cargo operation from Grand Forks to Fargo. Meanwhile, Fargo is giving FedEx a $600,000 tax break. The director of the Grand Forks Airport Authority says, in so many words, the loss of FedEx was a bit of a blow, but it's not the end of the world. The Airport Authority has received a $2.75 million settlement from FedEx because FedEx got out of its lease for this facility early. The settlement gives Grand Forks $900,000 to pay off bonds on the building it owns. Plus, they can set aside $1.8 million to replace the $700,000 a year loss of income from FedEx as they shop for a new tenant.
Sanford Health's new medical center in South Fargo is nearing completion. Tonight, they lit the outside of the building with blue lights, which is a decade-old tradition, while those on hand waved blue glow sticks. The lights are a beacon of health and healing that can be seen on Sanford buildings throughout the FM community.
It is really part of us as an organization, and we appreciate the fact that you're here. And it's also an appreciation of the team that's standing behind you and all the work that they have done, and really the importance of this from the standpoint of us as a family, as an organization, and then also what it means to the community.
When completed, the center will feature patient, labor, and delivery rooms, state-of-the-art medical equipment, and a 4,000-square-foot lobby containing a gift shop, chapel, and dining areas. The new center will start seeing its first patients by the end of July 2017.